This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some big update to share with you. President Biden went to Ohio to talk about how great the economy is and how jobs are coming back. Only 7% of Americans still have faith in Congress and they're doing their job. For the past 3 weeks, gas has been on the decline, and the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg gets grilled on Fox News about how the administration could do a better job. I'll play the video clip of that. You don't want to miss what's said there. $200 and $400 gas rebate check proposals, and I'll give you some other more important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Thursday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So Biden in Ohio touts economic agenda amid sinking polls. So President Biden went to Ohio to talk about how great everything is in our economy, but it's kind of a tough sell. So some of the things he said here is, who is the backbone of this country? It's you, the American worker. Jobs, unions, retirement, security. I see you, I hear you, and I always have your back, I promise. What are your thoughts on this? It's a really hard sell to say that things are getting better, the economy is getting better, when things are the way they are right now. Even President Biden's own Democrats are starting to turn on him. Take a look at this really quick clip of what President Biden said at the speech.
You all remember what the economy was like when I was elected, a country in a pandemic with no real plans how to get out of it, millions of people out of their jobs, families and cars, remember, backed up for literally miles, waiting for a box of food to be put in their trunk, just a box of food to be put in their trunk because they didn't have enough to eat. The previous administration lost more jobs in its watch than any administration since Herbert Hoover.
So what are your thoughts? Do you think the economy is going to get better? Are jobs actually coming back? He cited some history facts there. Let me know your thoughts on President Biden. Also, speaking of President Biden, but also Congress in general, most in new polls say federal government's actions hurting them financially. So I wouldn't say the blame is just solely on one person, but I would say Congress and our government in general are pretty much failing the American people. So according to this Monmouth University poll, found that 57% of respondents held this view compared to between 34 and 47% in prior polls. Only 8% said that politicians in Washington have helped them, which is really low. Inflation is increasing, gas prices are high, slightly going down, but take a look at this video clip right here, talking more about Americans' faith in Congress.
Now to some stark new numbers about the confidence or lack thereof Americans have in their institutions. The new poll out this morning shows the Supreme Court and the presidency have the largest drops compared to this time last year. Congress still the lowest of all the big American institutions. Only 7% of American adults say they have faith it is working properly. Joining us now, Gallup's editor-in-chief, Muhammad Yunus. Muhammad, good morning. It's good to see you again today. Take us through some of these numbers. Obviously, Congress has never been terribly popular with the American public, but we're seeing some real erosion in the presidency and the Supreme Court as well.
Absolutely. The two worst rated institutions, I have to say, are the one behind me, Congress, and the one I'm in, TV News. And I'd love to talk with you about that later, Willie. At the end. But what's important to point out is that among these 16 institutions that we've been tracking since 1972, 11 saw significant drops this year. But this is a 15-year bipartisan consistent decline across the board. So this is not something new, unfortunately, for America and Americans, but it's only a continuation of a trend we've seen. The average of all institutions, people that rate them the highest or confidence the highest, is now at 27%.
Say for the record, I have tremendous confidence in Willie Geist. But I wanted to dig in a little further on some of the polling results here. Obviously, the Supreme Court has been in the news dramatically in recent weeks, and certainly among Democrats, I think their faith in that institution has really fallen. But if you will, speak to us also about the impact of former President Trump, who basically spent 4 years as president attacking institutions, whether it be the Department of Justice or the media or Congress or the executive mansion itself. What role has he played in these numbers?
I think the political narrative in the country, I mean, the worse it's gotten, the worse these numbers have gotten. But it's important to keep in mind that people are frustrated with different institutions for different reasons. A lot of the narrative that we saw, whether it is from President Trump or specifically in the campaign era, and particularly also with Bernie Sanders, really speak to the underlying disappointment that Americans have with national government. Right now, only 13% of Americans are satisfied with the way things are going in the country. I think there's hope, though, and there's a lot of hope at the top of that list. And what ranks the highest really are the military, as well as small businesses. And it's really important to keep in mind that the things that those two institutions represent to Americans, local accountability, failure and success are very clearly defined. They get their hands dirty. They don't take credit for things they didn't do. They really feel different than a lot of the other institutions on that list. I think the media is one of the most important challenges, and it is different because we've learned that division really sells. So there's a business model challenge with that, but there's a lot of hope for the future. I think when Americans have been celebrating at their highest levels of American, for example, we just had 4th of July, pride in American citizenship. We've made some of the worst decisions as a nation, bipartisan decisions, that we've ever made. Perhaps this relative low is a moment where Americans are looking more closely at their leaders and putting more pressure on the kind of demonstrated leadership they want to see and that they approve of in those two institutions that are at the top.
So what are your thoughts there? Do you still have faith in Congress? Do you think Congress is working for you or their own self-interest? I don't think it's a Democrat or Republican issue. I just think it's people in power or the haves and the have-nots. But that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts on that? Let me know down in the comments below. So gas prices have fallen for 21 straight days and oil prices have dropped. Here's what to know. So surprisingly, gas prices have been down for the past 3 weeks, slightly, not much, but it is lower than I guess, it's not rising. I guess that's the case. The current average for a gallon of gas in the U.S. is $4.80, even though some cities like California are paying nearly $7 just a few weeks ago. So although prices are slowly going down for oil, oil dipped below $100 a barrel, gas prices are below $5 a gallon, it's still really high. All right, it's not like it's dropping how it was before all the craziness happened. Take a look at Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary, getting grilled on Fox News of what the administration could do better to bring down prices.
Secretary, finally, on gas prices, continue to rise, although of late they've been stabilizing. I know the administration has focused on the energy companies and whether they're gouging Americans. There's no evidence of that. But he did add now gas station owners that they should do more. Seeing as better than 95% of them are individually run and have nothing to do with the oil companies, do you think that was fair? Do you think that the owners of gas stations in this country are deliberately gouging Americans?
Well, look, the one group of people that we see who are actually happy about what's happening with gas prices are oil company executives and owners. We've seen them out there saying, they're not going to increase production. And why would they when they're this profitable? It's why the president has proposed a use it or lose it policy. You're sitting on these permits or leases and you're not producing in a way that's going to lower prices.
Secretary, are you blaming the oil companies for this? Are you blaming the oil companies for this?
It's frustrating to see it. Well, I'm certainly holding oil companies responsible for their choice not to produce. And again, even though congressional Republicans, I think, are not going to allow this to happen, we believe a use it or lose it policy that says if you're sitting on these permits or leases, you ought to do something with them is responsible. Look, obviously, there are and always have been a lot of different factors that global petroleum markets, one of which, obviously, is the fact that a major oil-producing country launched a war of aggression and destabilized so much of the world economy when they did.
But half of the wait a minute. The second half of that increase started prior to the first Russian soldiers arriving near Ukraine. You can't blame it all on Ukraine, right?
What about the other half?
Well,
what about the other half? No, that's a pretty important half.
Well, but that half before we had run up. Your administration has blamed this on the war, and that was certainly a big factor. But gas prices had gone up 50% already before the war. So to me, that's half of the blame, not all the blame.
Yeah, and what I'm saying about is that when it comes to these sky-high gas prices, Drivers are mad about it. I'm mad about it. The president's mad about it. Oil company executives are thrilled because this is good news for them. And I think when the incentives are that divided between them and the American people, it's very important for Congress to do everything it can to ensure that consumers are protected. That's all we're saying with this use it or lose it idea. I don't know that it would take care of every issue with global petroleum markets, but I'm pretty sure that it would help.
All right, they know supply and demand, as you do, Secretary, and I'm an apologist to the oil companies here, but if they could get their hands on more land to take advantage of this and know if they tapped it all with the demand being what it is, they could still make, busloads of money. Wouldn't that be in their interest by fingering them? And they're no saints, they want to make money, they'd have a great opportunity to make more money in this environment. Why wouldn't they?
Why are they sitting on these opportunities to produce right now? It's because this environment where they're extremely profitable and the rest of us are getting killed is actually pretty favorable for their bottom line. And the question
would it be
is,
even more favorable with more lands,
like,
right? If you're limited with those 9,000 type, permits and licenses you talk about, then they're not all going to be gushers, so they can't act to them all. And even that 9,000 is about half what it was 18 months ago. I'm just saying, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they pounce on it? Why wouldn't they pounce on it now, right?
Because they make more money with the status quo. Right? That's the bottom line. And when incentives are that misaligned between oil company executives and the rest of us, that's when you got to take a look at a policy intervention. That's what policy exists for, is to try to make sure that companies that are out there to make a buck, which is what companies do, fine. But when they do, it doesn't happen in a way that hurts the American people. I don't think anybody thinks that oil markets are a textbook example of a natural, supply and demand driven, perfectly competitive part of the economy. We know that they are massively shaped by everything from war and peace around the world to policy decisions. We just think more of those policy decisions ought to be ones that favor the consumer instead of the oil company executives and owners.
But are you saying, sir, just to be clear, that they are rigging the game? There have been government investigations into this very issue under Republican and Democratic administrations, I believe a dozen times over 40 years. Not a one has been able to accurately prove or state that this is what was going on, that this cabal was acting to hoard prices and to screw consumers. It hasn't happened.
So look, if them keeping prices up while declining to produce more isn't breaking any laws, then I guess I'd like to ask whether we could have better laws. That's what I'm saying.
But are you saying they're the reason why the prices are up? Nothing else is going on?
Well, again, we know that there are always lots and lots of things that drive oil markets and gas prices.
But your administration has targeted them, right? Your administration has targeted them, and that's the reason, and nothing else.
What are your thoughts there? Could the administration be doing a better job of bringing down the price of gas, or is it out of their hands, out of control? Let me know your thoughts on that. So as gas prices decrease, food prices could jump over 10% as inflation continues. So it's a global problem felt in everyone's pockets, but especially here in the U.S. And what they're saying is General Mills are predicting food prices will be up over 10% for 2022. Really high, pretty crazy to think about. When it comes to other types of relief that is out there, so gas rebate checks, these states are offering money back to drivers. So the states, there's a few different states that have gas tax holidays. Georgia just renewed theirs. But in terms of what's going on, California, after efforts to try to suspend the 51-cent gas tax, after that failed, Gavin Newsom wants to have a different plan where every household with a car registered in the state to receive $400 debit cards up to 2 cards. So that's still in the proposal phase in California in terms of gas rebate checks, but there are going to be up to $1,050 checks, or actually $350 checks for individuals going on in California. In North Carolina, another proposal said that it would give a one-time payment of up to $200 towards fueling in the state of North Carolina. That is still a proposal not going through. But what is going through, Chicago has the $50 transit cards and $150 gas cards. Those are done through a lotto system where you'd have to apply for it. And other things that are being done, like what about on a federal level? Is the White House going to have a gas rebate check? Well, in the past, what is said here is Biden said he supports pausing the federal gas tax for 3 months and encouraged individual states to consider similar money-saving efforts, including consumer rebates and relief payments. So the White House is pushing that for states to have that, and the president told that a nationwide gas rebate card program is part of what we're considering. So a nationwide gas rebate card program is what they're still considering, supposedly. Haven't really seen much action on that. There is the Gas Rebate Act of 2022, which means that Americans could get $100 for every month that the gas is an average of more than $4 per gallon, so $100 monthly. That could be a possibility, although with gas prices going down, doesn't seem likely. Let me know, should there be more gas relief or just general stimulus checks in general to help out people who don't have cars maybe or rely on public transportation? Let me know your thoughts on that. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
So hi guys, this is Bella. This is my tip of the day. And what you could do is whenever you want to do something, you can't always feel hold back. You have to just have to explore. You have to open your heart to everything. You have to explore one thing. You can't just explore on one thing. You have to explore on one thing. You have to explore on another thing. So you can't always be on one thing. So
thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your time and support. If you like how I get straight to the point, hit the like button and subscribe. All is good with us. Bella is going to camp and Kalea is hanging out during the day. Yesterday, Bella went to the Grand Prix golf cart or go-kart racing, which is pretty cool. Anyways, if you want to check out any of my other videos, my other channels, you could click up here. If you want to learn some strategies from billionaires on my Wise Vibes channel, want to get some inspiration, motivation, you can click this video up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.